Good morning. Today, I'm gonna show you how to make a turnt and anthemic trap beat in FL Studio. Let's get into it. One thing that can help you make a turnt beat is sound selection, and the main thing with that is using brass. Literally, if you hear brass in the beat, more than likely it's gonna be a pretty hype kind of song. I think that when starting off with these kinds of beats, it's always good to start off with a low brass to get the bass going. So first I went to expand and I grabbed the oct trombone plus brass preset. And I laid out this simple pattern right here. It's just that repeated over. And the reason that this feels like kind of anthemic and like kind of hype is for a couple reasons. First thing, we have like these little stabs right here that's like duh, 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 duh. It's not playing all connected, it's playing like some connected and then some with stabs. And then also too, the fact that it's repeating. Like when you have a melody that's catchy / repetitive, it's gonna be a banger usually. So for that, just EQ out a little bit of the low mud so it doesn't clash with the other instruments. So since we're going for a turnt, trap, anthemic kind of feel, we wanted to make it sound big, right? Like a stadium type of thing. So that's why it's good to layer, because this, this sound right here, it's not bad, but it is a little bit flat. So I kind of want to layer it with something else that's kind of strong. So I went to Contact in the free orchestra bank, and I'm not gonna lie, this bank has some pretty good sounds and it's free too. If you have Contact, you should automatically have this bank. So like I said, I copied the exact same pattern and here's what we get. So those two together sound like this. See how much fuller it sounds? Alright, so now we have the bass, but now we need some actual mid sections and high ends. So what better instrument to use than the trumpets? So we go back to expand, and I'm not gonna lie, expand has some pretty good trumpets in there for real. We got the natural brass section, and here's the pattern that I laid out. Notice too how I said about having the repeating melodies. Like literally this bar right here is literally copied over 8 times. It's the exact same bar, so that gives it more energy. Also too, to make it kind of sound more trap and a little bit dark, is by having these notes right here alternate, because F and E, they're right next to each other, so when you play them back to back, it's gonna sound a lot more suspenseful. Pretty much, if you want to make something similar, literally just find like any minor chord. Say like that you want to work in G minor, right? So make a G minor chord. All right, now think of a pattern and then make sure that it's repetitive and catchy. So now we're gonna take this A sharp and go down to an A. Like I said, they're right next to each other. So we're gonna do this. Now I'm probably gonna take this and then make it stutter a little bit. Now let's get one more note down here to kind of make it sound a little bit more fuller. And then literally we just do Alt R and then copy it over. And here's what it would sound like. It literally took like 30 seconds for real. Like, it's very easy. Once you get the bass down and the first melody down for real, I think it's just smooth selling. So for that, just some ROM for some reverb, nothing too crazy. Now we layer again, because like I said, we're going for a big feel. So go back to expand, and this time grab the hard trumpets preset, and here's what they sound like. With the low instruments, it sounds like this. Now, I love to use these strings in my anthemic kinds of beats, and that's pizzicatos. Especially the pizzicato arp and expand. Like I said, we go to pizz arp, and then we kind of follow the chords for the trumpets, right? Pretty much it was a D minor chord with the F going to an E. So we just copied that over with some notes to kind of give us some more variety. And yeah, so here's what they sound like. Yeah, just having that ARP in there is giving it a lot more energy. So for that, I don't really have it playing with the trumpets, because it's kind of clashing a little bit too much. So I have that only playing with the low brass when it sounds like this. Next, we get some bells in there. I want to expand and I grab the jingle bells, haha, and I just play some ear candy. I didn't want it to be too much, because like I said, the trumpets is kind of doing a lot already. So just need something to play as ear candy in the background. So here's what we get. I think that a good element of this beat that's making it sound a lot more turnt and anthemic is the repetitiveness. almost everything in here has been catchy so far. I feel like that if you could sing it by itself and it sounds good, then it's, you know, it'll work. But that just the pancakes that have a pan between your left and the right ears. Next, we got a choir. I think the Atmosphere has some pretty good choirs, especially the boys' intervals and the girls' intervals choirs. But literally, I just chose one note, and that was A, and have it play throughout the whole thing. So at this point, we're pretty much just filling out the melody. I don't want to have anything else that's going too crazy right now. So that's why I just chose this slight choir to play in the background. So for that one, having a stereo enhancer to make it sound a little bit more wide. There's a reverb, of course, to push it more in the background. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I think that this is definitely a cheat code right here to making turnt beats, and that's having marching bands. Like, marching bands give it a lot more energy. You can literally go on YouTube and look up marching band, and then just copy the audio from that and drag it into your DAW. I mean, that'll work. But luckily, FL Studio that has some marching band loops in the FL Cloud. It's okay, not the best, but I think it'll work. So here's what we get. So that was cool, but to give it some more dramatic effect, I went to BBC Symphony Orchestra, and I went to the percussion section to untune, and I went to the note that had the crash on there, so this right here. And I just played that certain parts, so those together sound like this. And every time that the marching band comes in, I have a Reese bass on the bottom that's playing, so those together sound like this. So just that build up right there is giving it like so much energy, so that when the bass comes in, it's like, dang, like that thing hit hard for real. And last but not least, for the melody, I found this little pad out of this Tri-Freeze drum kit just to kind of fill out the verse so it wasn't too empty. But yeah, here's what it sounds like. I got on some halftone to make it sound a little bit darker, a compressor so that it's not too loud or too soft at some parts, an EQ to cut off some of the lows, a stereo enhancer to make it sound wider, and then some ROM for some reverb. So with the melody, it sounds like this. Now we get into the drums, and I think that the drums, we don't have to go too crazy. I think the only thing that we gotta kind of go a little bit crazy on is the 808, because you know it's a turnt beat, so we gotta have a knocking 808. So the first thing that we started off with was a snare. I want something that kind of hits hard, so we got this snare right here. Then we got some hi-hats. We got some rolls in there with some volume automations and all that good stuff. So it's just that, and definitely having rolls and hi-hats to give it some more energy. Next, we got an open hat. For that, just a delay. Then we got some crashes. And then we got the accent snares, which you definitely hear these in a lot of different kinds of beats, especially the turnt ones. So here's what we get. Now we got the 808. I think that sound selection is definitely key for this one. For this 808, this one already hits hard. So for real, I didn't even need a kick in my opinion. So here's what it sounds like by itself. I think that 808 rolls are definitely key, along with going up in octaves, like right here, how it goes from D to A and then down to a lower A. All those give the beat energy. So that's the first pattern. And we also got a second pattern, and it hits like this. Yeah, that last part, that's gonna get them twerking for real, I'm not gonna lie. And then for the extras, right? So I love to use this sound for build-ups and also downfalls. It's this sound right here. It's just like a very good transition between high and lower energy points in the beat. Of course, having risers on your beats help build energy, so it's good to find the right one, but here's one that I picked out. So here's what the drums are sounding like. Yeah, if that don't sound turned, then I don't know what to do. But here's what the full beat sounds like. But before we get to that, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. All my socials at TLRon. Let me know what you want to see next. Peace.